So I have this class that is technically it's on like human morality and how people, I guess, believe what they believe and why they do that. But really, what we have turned that class into is just like a politics classroom. We just talk about politics the entire time, pretty much. Um, and so today, our topic was political violence. Um, and you know, just the way the conversation went, it kind of made me think about the issue in a different light. So I just kind of wanted to share some of those new insights that I had. Really, the new insight I had was like a new definition of what I see political violence as, and I kind of separate it into two different areas now. But yeah, I'll get into that in a second. So, for some background into like how I came about this, I guess, revelation. My professor started the class by saying the Charlie Kirk murder was horrible, terrible, should have never happened. People shouldn't be killed for speaking what they believe, blah blah blah, the normal. Um, but also that it shouldn't like count towards political violence, which I just found weird, and he'd never really elaborated on that. Um, which was weird, but it was probably because this person, I guess, it doesn't think it's a girl. I'll call it it. And it gave what I'll call like the classic liberal viewpoint on that whole issue. Basically, it said Charlie Kirk advocated for violent things, so it was ironic that he was killed in a violent manner. And I mean, I was pissed. I like actually furious. And so I honestly, I just didn't even say anything because I make fun of liberals all the time for making emotional arguments, and I wasn't about to make an emotional argument for that.
All right, this conversation is.
But actually, my professor, who I typically disagree with wholeheartedly on everything, said basically exactly what I would have said anyways, um, in saying that, like, basically just questioned her, like, what did he actually do that was violent? Like, how did he encourage violence? And honestly, she couldn't really respond. Um, but then he kind of used that to pose a question to the class. He said, "Are you guys like against political violence, like as an absolutist, like no political violence whatsoever?" And just had people raise their hands, yes or no. I raised my hand for yes. I was like, yeah, less political violence, good. Less violence, less people getting hurt. Seemed like a straightforward answer. And then he was like, okay, okay. What about the Civil War? What about World War II? What about the American Revolution? He said, those are political violence. Like, are those good? And so to me, like, I had always separated the two. Like, so that, yeah, this is where I made like my big, like, aha moment. Um, I think it's best to look at it through the lens of like community and nation lenses or individual lenses. Basically, what I mean is for like a national event of like political violence, okay? I'm going to use the Civil War as an example. Obviously, I don't think black people should be enslaved. I think that's a pretty, I don't think everyone believes that, which is, but 99.9999999% of people believe that, right? It's good that black people aren't enslaved. It's good that we had the Civil War to fight that and overturn that. Um, so that would be a just cause of political violence in my eyes. However, there's unjust political violence as well, and that to me is where like the individual side of things comes in. This could be Charlie Kirk getting shot, Martin Luther King Jr. Um, Basically, people getting silenced for voicing their political and social beliefs. Um, so basically, what it comes down to is I think there's such different things that like you having the same word for them is like it's confusing, but it also makes people say things that they don't really believe. For instance, so when my teacher said, "Are you completely against political violence?" I said yes, thinking like in the more individualistic sense. Um, but I guess I am for political violence. I guess you can soundbite me on that, and that sounds really bad. But yeah, I'm all for overturning systems that are terrible. Was all for the American Revolution because we got out from under the monarchy and created our own nation. I was all for the Civil War because we freed like a significant portion of our population and gave them closer to like human rights. Um, so yeah, I think honestly, what we like the solution to this, I think people need to make a separate term, even if you just classify it as individual and national level or community level or like large and small scale political violence, just something so that people can like actually understand what they're saying. Um, yeah, I think I'm a fairly intelligent person. Like I like knew what I was saying, and I knew what I believed. I just didn't know that I was phrasing it incorrectly and leading people on to believe something else. Um, but yeah, that's just kind of my revelation. I thought other people probably have a similar experience and similar viewpoint. So just um, giving people a way to communicate that differently, I thought that would be important. And that's why I'm kind of sharing this. So yeah, like, subscribe, please help the algorithm. And I'll see you in the next video. Oh my God, there's fucking people listening. They're scary. They're giving me mean looks. I have to wait. Okay, we're good.